Hey guys, uh, one of the things that I've been working on is putting in some new zones for the irrigation system or the sprinklers in our yard. I wanted to add a hose bib and didn't find any great information on how to do that, so I'm going to cover how I add a hose bib or a hose attachment to the irrigation system so that I can use that water in a hose. So here I've got the sprinkler lines all dug up from, like I said, adding in new zones. Right here is the main line, and this T right here actually feeds to our backyard. What I'm gonna do is follow the T back till it's up next to the house, tap onto it there, and attach the hose bib right up against the cement so that it doesn't wiggle away. Alright, so we've trenched up the water main. This pipe here, right back here, is going to be what carries pressure to my back zone box. What I'm going to do is tap a T or cut a T into the line here so the T will always be pressurized. There's a little bit of a gap, so I'll probably kind of angle it, put a 45-degree piece on it. Then I'm going to use, I actually don't know the name of this, but it takes it from a 1-inch slip to a 3/4 thread. It'll focus. And this should end up basically flush to the cement, at which point I'm gonna thread the galvanized pipe into this and take it up to the actual hose attachment. All right, so I've glued in the T. I glued on my 45-degree angle here so that I'd get flush with the cement. And then I put the adapter in that went from a 1-inch slip to a 3/4 threaded. It's messy, but I'm gonna cover it in dirt, so I don't really care. We'll go ahead and get the end of the galvanized pipe taped up, threaded in, and take a look at that. So, used some, I don't know the actual name, so I'm calling it Teflon tape. Some of this stuff, right, for plumbing. Wrapped it around the threads of my 3/4 inch, 18-inch galvanized pipe. Twisted that into the adapter down here that's been glued in. It's gonna run up the cement here. I've wrapped the top threads as well. This is where the actual spigot is gonna go on. I'll get that twisted on next, and then we'll take a look at attaching the pipe to the cement so it doesn't have so much wobble, and will hopefully reduce the risk of breaking the PVC down below. Okay, so I have my 3/4 inch hose head, spigot, whatever, attached to the pipe. And this was the head that when I was taking a look at stuff in the hardware store that they'd kind of recommended, said it's basically for this exact purpose. It should follow the pipe straight up, attach, and there we have it. What I didn't take into consideration is if I'm going to bolt or, effectively bolt the pipe to the cement, this has no room to twist. So I'll be taking this off and probably putting on a 90-degree elbow of some sort. Well, not of some sort. We'll do like a 90-degree elbow up here, and then that terminates with another mill end, and I'll hook this onto that, something along those lines. Okay, so we spliced into the pressurized line with the 1-inch T to a 1-inch 45-degree angle, put in a reducer that's threaded. I've got my length of galvanized pipe here. For me, it's an 18-inch pipe. I Teflon taped the threads. I wrapped it like 8 times. I had to redo it a couple times just because I kept getting little leaks. 8 wraps, which seems like a lot, seems to be holding it pretty well. Came up to a 90-degree adapter here. Same thing, each thread wrapped about 8 times. A 5-inch piece over, because as I mentioned before, there wasn't sufficient room to twist up here when it actually terminated against the wall. So I've brought it over, the original head, which I don't have on me, actually was intended to go straight off a stem that's coming up. So the return was actually backwards. So I've replaced it with this one so that the hose attachment will be forward. Now the next part of what I've got to do here, and just kind of to demonstrate that there we go. So it works. You know, got water coming off there, still dry at my attachment, so that's great. The next part here, because this is a little wobbly, and that's dangerous with the PVC, dangerous as far as I don't want it to break, I'm gonna go ahead and attach it by bolting some straps to the cement here and here to basically just lock that into place. So we'll take a look at that next. Okay, we got this bolted to the cement now. I used some 1-inch 2-hole straps and then some, not a great picture, but these Tapcon concrete anchors. I used a 3/16 inch, 1 1/4 deep, and then used their concrete drill bit and a hammer drill to just kind of bore the holes, and then an impact driver to drive them in. But I mean, really, unless somebody front kicks this, I think we're going to be good. You know, no plants or grass here to really get to. This is really just a security thing for peace of mind. I don't think this is going anywhere. We don't have any leaks. Now we've got access to the irrigation water that we can hook a hose up to. I don't love this. I might try replacing it with a large plastic round piece that you've probably seen on other hose bibs. I'll try putting that on and we can see how that turns out. I tried replacing this top piece here with a large round option. I just am more comfortable with these, or larger knob, the larger knob to turn the water on and off in general. I'm not a big fan of these. This doesn't fit that, so I guess for the time being I'm stuck with this. That's fine. Worst case scenario, we can always, without having to really do much anywhere else, we can replace this piece, just thread on a different attachment. But overall, everything turned out really nice. We're hooked into the pressurized irrigation system here, attached it to the cement, have water. Overall, turned out pretty good.